A rat has just cooked the most important dish of his life. However, all the cooks abandoned him and now he has to face the critic who will decide the future of the place he loves. However, this man is about to receive a reality blow. Getting here was not easy since it seemed that everything was against him. Remy lived frustrated because he loved cooking, but his family didn't understand. They just stole trash, but Remy wanted to create. He has an apathetic attitude precisely because despite being his family, he feels that he is in a place where he does not belong, which causes many arguments with his father. He is surrounded by many people physically similar to him, but he feels misunderstood even by his brother. He listens to him but does not understand him, and many times being different goes hand in hand with a lot of loneliness. This makes me reflect on the following: just because you fit in does not mean you are in the right place. Fitting in does not mean belonging. Belonging is being part of something without betraying your essence. The question would be, we belong where we are. The different being reflects it to us. His body language is the only one who walks on two legs. He is the only one who understands humans, and he is the only one who knows how to read. In fact, he really likes to go into this lady's kitchen to watch her idols show. The chef liked it. This one has a phrase that inspires Remy a lot, which says, anyone can cook. However, the chef's restaurant a few years ago received strong criticism from Anton Ego, which caused the place to lose stars, and subsequently the chef passed away. However, the life of this frustrated chef is about to change radically as the whole nest is discovered by the owner of the house. She tries to exterminate them, so the rodents have to flee. They get into the boats while everything is chaos, but poor Remy is left behind. He tries to row as hard as he wants, but the current is so strong that he ends up being rolled over by the water and dragged to the sewers. Now he's alone, he's hungry, and you don't know if he'll ever see his family again. Hunger makes him hallucinate with Chef Gustave from the book, who tells him if you focus on what you left behind, you will never be able to see what the future holds for you. Now he goes up and takes a look, so Remy decides to go up and see what's on him. He walks behind walls, dodging traps and dogs, until finally, after a lot of running, he climbs onto a roof, only to realize he's been in Paris all this time. And many times that happens to us. A better place is closer than we think, a better job, more friends, a healthy relationship. You just have to get up and move forward. He sees that the Gusto restaurant is right next door and he's going to turn around. From above, he sees Skinner, who is the head chef and has a very bossy temper. Also in the place is Linguini, a clumsy, shy boy who has no idea about cooking. They need someone to clean up the place, so they hire the kid. However, Remy observes how for some reason Linguini begins to add extra ingredients to the soup. To me, he is totally outraged. We can see that he is truly passionate about this, as no normal person would be so enraged over a simple soup. At that, the window loosens and Remy falls from the heights to the sink. Now he has to run for his life. If he is discovered, they will kill him. When he finally gets to safety, he manages to see an open window. However, some helper sees it, but seconds later Linguini tries the soup he has just created and discovers that it is terrible, so he opens the window again just to be able to vomit. Now Remy runs to escape, but when he's about to leave, he smells the soup. He's so bad he almost vomits, and it's biologically impossible for rats to do that. He feels the need to fix it, so he adds some extra ingredients. After fixing it up a bit, he prepares to escape, but realizes that this is the opportunity he has been waiting for all his life. The opportunity to really cook lowers the heat a little, washes his hands, and adds one ingredient after another. He had never had the opportunity to do it. Seriously, but today the day has finally arrived. However, Linguini finds out, and since Skinner comes for the soup, the boy hides the rat. The chef starts yelling at the boy since a simple janitor can't cook, but while he scolds him, he serves in a bowl of soup and the waiter takes him to the dining room where a reviewer tries it. Skinner explodes in anger and tries to fire Linguini. However, the waiter walks in and says the soup was loved by the critics, so much so that he wants to congratulate Chef Remy. Upon hearing all this, he pays more attention. The chef tries it and likes it, but Una insists on firing him until Colette confronts him and tells him that if he fires him, he would be breaking with the belief. More sacred taste. Anyone can cook. This is a validation to Remy. It doesn't matter that he didn't receive credit for the soup. What matters is that someone recognized his work. This phrase changes Esquina's mind, who tells him that if you want to continue working, he will have to repeat the soup in those uncovered remis. Ligan catches him and they tell him to kill her. The boy leaves the place, takes his bicycle and pedals to a bridge. She's about to break up with Remy, but seeing her eyes, she takes pity on him and leaves him. The young man is very frustrated since he really needs that job, and now they want him to create a soup that he has no idea what to look like. However, while the boy speaks, Remy nods his head. The young man cannot understand the rat, but apparently it does understand the boy. Linguini tells him to please help him. Remy agrees, and when he lets him out, he flees into the darkness. However, he feels a remorse of conscience and returns to the boy. Afterwards, he takes him to his small apartment. It's not much, but he has what it takes, especially a beautiful view of the Eiffel Tower. The next day, Linguini prepares to recreate the soup, puts Remy in his clothes, and enters the kitchen very determined. The problem is that he doesn't have a way to communicate. The rodent just walks all over his body, which makes Linguini squirm from the tickle. To correct it, bites him, but this causes him a lot of pain. After making a fool of himself for a long time, he goes into the warehouse where he realizes that his body is very hurt. They need a better solution. While the two argue in the warehouse, Skinner hears something suspicious from outside, suddenly enters and manages to see the rat. Linguini turns the light off, and when he turns it back on, there is nothing anymore. The chef is sure he saw something. However, Linguini plays dumb and leaves. This chef is a very greedy person and is going to end up doing terrible things to poor Remy. As he walks, a waiter crosses himself. Remy pulls the boy's hair and he automatically dodges him. The two are surprised. Linguini enters the bathroom and there she realizes that that Remy? Can she make the young man involuntarily move his shoulders, arms, and hands with just one look? The two knew that he had the same idea, which that same night they began to practice. If you want to achieve your goal, you have to learn to work together. At the beginning, their movements are clumsy and things don't go very well. But after a while, their coordination becomes more precise. That these two cannot be verbally understood reinforces the message that they are both from completely different worlds. Linguini from the humans and Remy from the rats, although he has never really felt part of it, managed to recreate the soup, and Skinner gives the boy a place in the kitchen. The little chef is also happy. Therefore, to learn more, the young man will be trained by Colette. This woman is very rude and demanding since she has had to fight a lot and for a long time to get to where haute cuisine is. It has always been a male-dominated industry, so for this girl, getting up has not been an easy task. These two end up falling in love, but things are not going to be easy between them. This woman is key in both of their careers. She teaches them to save time by cutting and chopping quickly, to keep their work area clean, to work in a hygienic way, and to differentiate good bread. This excites Linguini, but Remy also pays close attention to the fact that everyone who works in that place has different stories and origins, all united by their love of cooking. However, Skinner doesn't see it in such a romantic way. He only thinks about the money. He doesn't tell anyone, but his plan is to hang the name of the deceased Gusto to sell fast food, thus distorting his entire reputation and legacy. However, one piece of news puts all his plans at risk. In a letter to him that Linguini is Gusto's son and therefore heir to his entire brand and restaurants. To remove doubts, the lawyer takes a hair, Gusto's hat, and goes to analyze it. However, Skimmer little by little realizes that the boy is hiding something like that will try to truncate his career. One night, the diners order something different. The waiter informs the chef and he sees one opportunity to ruin his reputation. They have nothing new, so he decides to remake an old dish. However, this one was so bad that they decided to discontinue it. He tells the Linguini to prepare it, so when the diners hate it, he will blame the young man, ruining his reputation. At first, Colette tells them to stick to the original recipe, but since Remy knows it will be a complete failure, he decides to alter it. This causes Remy Colette to begin to have an argument, which manifests itself through the Linguini body, and instead of helping each other, they hinder each other. When the dish is about to come out, the girl leaves because she forgot something, and Remy takes advantage, blocks Colette's path, and bathes the dish with the sauce she just improvised. Chefs thought it would be a dud, but surprisingly everyone liked it, and now they won't stop taking orders. Remy cooks happily and the dishes don't stop coming out. In the end, the night was a success and Linguini toasts with all his colleagues. However, Skinner notices a suspect in the boy's hat. Linguini steps away for a moment to give his reward to the little chef, congratulates him, thanks him, and leaves him something to eat. When he returns, Skinner takes off his hat, but he doesn't find anything. However, it's only a matter of time for him to discover everything. His desire to know what he hides is so great that he even gets him drunk to get the information out, but Linguini goes to the questions and leaves Skinner with intrigue while Reem was enjoying his dinner. Do you see anything coming out of the shadows? At first he is scared, but then he discovers that his brother both become very happy since they thought they would never see each other again, and his brother asks him to go visit his family. At first Remy resists, but he ends up accepting. This meeting is going to be very important for the psychology of the little chef. His dad gives him a big celebration, however, Remy looks quite uncomfortable despite being one of them. He feels that he does not belong to that world. That is why he's practically the only rodent that constantly walks on two legs. Metaphorically, his body language is different from. This is a reflection of his mind. His father and his entire family hate humans, while Remy is fascinated since he says that rats steal and they create. Remy confesses
When Remy sees something horrible in his product store where they display dead beasts of their own species, his father
He continues throughout the city, however his efforts are useless since Remy gives him the linguine menu and Skinner is finally fired and the boy inherits the restaurant. Things begin to improve in the lives of these two and Colette and Linguini fall more and more in love. The problem is that something very terrible is about to happen. The ego is about to enter their lives. Literally and metaphorically, the boy's restaurant became so popular that he is now practically a celebrity, and with popularity came arrogance and ego. The young man believes that he no longer needs Remy to be successful and attributes all the achievements and growth to him. That's ego. Remy gets angry with Winnie because they don't give him the credit he deserves. He wants all the recognition, even though Colette also helped him and taught him. That's ego. And finally, we have Anton Ego himself, the same reviewer who a few years ago, thanks to a bad review, removed a star from the restaurant. Did you like it? He thinks he's the ultimate authority in the culinary world. He thinks his word is the law, and he's furious at the idea that the same restaurant he once destroyed is becoming popular again. That's ego. That is why it is no coincidence that this character enters at this point in the film, because the ego is about to end with everything threatens to go to dinner the next day and leaves the place. The press conference ends, but now Remy Linguis is so furious. When they enter the kitchen, they start arguing. This fight escalates so much that Linguini takes Remy out on the street. He's sick of not having cinnamon recognition and staying in the shadows, so he decides to get revenge. Acting with a restless mind usually brings terrible consequences. Sometimes it is better to let a while pass to act with a calm mind. As Alan Watts said, murky water is best calmed by leaving it alone. To get revenge, Linguini Remy brings his entire family into the restaurant to steal food from the warehouse. However, while Robin Lingui apologizes to Remy, the boy is extremely surprised by his attitude. And just when he was being honest with the little boss, he discovers all the rats stealing. They run away and the boy gets angry. His trust has been betrayed and Remy tells him to leave and never come back. However, let's remember that Ego is going to dinner the next day and Linguini can't cook. He only needs Remy. The big day comes and Linguini gives the worst motivational speech in history. Ego is in the restaurant and intimidates the waiter. He tells him what he would like to order, to which Ego responds, "What Linguini dares to serve me is determined and prepared to give the restaurant a bad review and sink his reputation again as he did years A." Back, the kitchen is a mess. There is no one to really run things, as Linguini without Remy can't do anything. Everyone asks him things and asks him to act, but this one feels so much pressure and stress that he has a panic attack and locks himself in his office. Remy sees all this from the outside. However, his brother arrives and makes a serious mistake. He falls into a mouse trap. However, Remy saves him, but now he is the one who is trapped. The trap was set by Skinner, who wants to kidnap him so that he can now work for him. Ego is waiting for his food. Linguini is not able to do it alone and Remy is trapped. It seems that everything is lost in his loneliness. Imagine that he speaks with pleasure and tells him, "I am tired of pretending Finko is a rat to me. Father and I pretend to be a human through Linguini. Why do I need to pretend if I know who I am and that his father, his brother rescue him and give him a hug?" Remy runs back to the restaurant. They ask him why you care so much, to which the little chef responds, "Because I am a cook." He always knew it, only now he has found the courage to recognize it. He arrives at the restaurant and for the first time shows himself as he is. First of all, the workers are horrified. However, just when they are about to liquidate him, Linguini stops them for the first time, accepts that he has no talent and explains to them that the rat was the one behind it all. However, no one believes him and the team leaves the restaurant, including Coletta. When Remy is about to throw in the towel, his father appears, who saw everything. He finally understood how much this means to his son, so he calls the entire nest and they get to work. Remy directs them all and together they begin to take the kitchen forward. Linguini sees that someone is needed to serve, so he starts serving tables. On the other hand, when Colette was driving back, she came across a book by Chef Gusto which said anyone can cook, which made her reconsider, and thanks to this, she decides to return to help. Linguini receives her very happy to see her and thanks her for trusting her. Remy shows the girl who wants to cook Ego a dish called ratatouille. This is a dish considered humble or a dish, but since the ingredients are cheap and does not require any type of special preparation. This is very symbolic, since even though Remy is an exceptional chef, Ego a super demanding critic, and the restaurant an expensive, ostentatious, and prestigious place, the little chef decided to do something very simple but with a lot of love and passion. Now he works with Colette coordinated and in harmony, very contrasting with the scenes we saw at the beginning where they almost fight while cooking. Once the dish is finished, Linguin picks it up and serves it to Ego. This is the moment of truth. When Ego tests it, is transported to his childhood. This was a dish that his mother prepared for him when he was little and he really enjoyed it. Food has always symbolized love since we were little. Our first caregivers gave us food to nourish us and keep us alive when we could not fend for ourselves. It is a way of looking for and taking care of those you love, which is why a simple plate of food can have such a strong emotional charge. When the president returns, he drops his pen, his main tool, that weapon that gives him power over the work of others, symbolizing a surrender and dropping his ego until his facial expression changes. He stops being that serious food critic to just enjoy a great plate of food. But that night, this man wasn't the only one to leave arrogance behind. Remy also dropped the ego when he agreed to help Linguini again and return to the restaurant, and Linguini dropped the ego when he accepted that he wasn't the real chef and that he couldn't do things. They just left the arrogance behind and realized that Linguini is nothing without Remy, and Remy would never have gotten anywhere. Without Linguini, Linguini could lie and save himself the explanation of the rats in the kitchen and that his actions are controlled by Remy, but he's tired of pretending. So just as Remy was sick of pretending to be a human through Linguini, Linguini is sick of pretending to be a great chef. Thanks, Remy was saying it's time to stop hiding the truth and give Remy the credit. what he deserves so much. When all the diners leave the restaurant, the couple reveals the critic's truth to him. At first, he thinks they are playing a joke on him, but when he explains everything to him, his smile disappears. The man just thanks for the food and retires to write his review. Colette, on the other hand, says goodbye to Linguini and leaves. However, now Remy has to make a decision. Go with Linguini or go back to his family, or in other words, pretend to be someone he isn't or go back to where he feels he doesn't belong. But Remy chooses 1/3 option, decides to go his own way. Linguini has already given him the recognition he longed for, and his father has already accepted what he really is for what he doesn't have now. You have to hide or hide. Now feel free to be and do. The next day, they read Ego's review in the newspaper, where he put aside pretensions and accepted that night the deepest foundations of his world were shaken, and he finally understood that not everyone can become a great artist, but that a great artist can come from anywhere. To tell the truth, any common dish makes more sense than the criticism that condemns it. It is difficult to imagine a more humble origin than that of the genius who now cooks taste, who in my opinion is the best chef in all of France. With this, Ego makes it clear to us that a lot of him changed that day. Not everyone can become a great artist. A great artist can come from anywhere. This statement resonates with the philosophy of existentialism, which focuses on the individual and his ability to define himself through his own actions. Your context and your past constitute you, but it does not define you. Ego recognizes that the humblest job, like cooking, has more value than his job. As a critic, he points out that the creators of any type of art at any level are putting something new into the world. Normally, the world treats the new badly, and the new always needs friends. And finally, Ego reinforces one of the central ideas of the film, that we should not be limited by the expectations and prejudices of others, but rather we should follow our passion and seek excellence in what we truly love, no matter where we come from. If you made it this far, I thank you with all my heart. It means a lot to me, your support. If you have not subscribed to my channel, I invite you to do so at this moment. And if you want to see more content like this, I have a lot, nothing more. Take a walk there along the canal and you'll find them fine. If you want to give me a proposal for summary and analysis, leave it in the comments. I will consider the ones that have the most likes.